Hi, and thank you for tuning in today. My name is Kisa, and I am a fitness trainer. I've been a fitness trainer for probably about 32 plus years. I'm 61 years young. I like to say the young part because it just feels good. And I try to live a healthy lifestyle as much as I can. So what I'm doing today is I'm prepping some easy recipes for you guys to follow step by step. I know a lot of you have busy work schedules. A lot of you might have families, large families, small families, kids and activities and things like that. So it makes it kind of hard and difficult to actually want to come home and cook. You want to stop by your fast food restaurant, you want to order DoorDash or Uber Eats. But today I'm going to teach you guys how to make a healthy meal that's going to taste good, not bland, and it's going to be quick and easy, and the whole family will love it. I'm basically trying to show you guys how to live a healthy lifestyle. This isn't a diet thing. That's a four-letter word that I really don't like to use. My mother told me don't use four-letter words, and diet is a four-letter word. Because dieting, when you're dieting, you're basically going up and down. So you're eliminating things from what you want to eat, and then eventually, as human nature, we're going to want to go back and always have things that we can't have. If you tell a baby don't touch that, and then they want to touch it anyway. It's the same thing with dieting. We take away our favorite foods, but then we crave them, and then eventually we go back to them. So what I'm trying to teach you guys how to do is live a healthy lifestyle where you're going to eat healthy foods and you're going to incorporate that into your lifestyle, and it's going to be delicious. You can actually make fun things like pizza and tacos and hamburgers and things that you can buy fast food that are just as healthy and just as tasty, and they're great for your family as well. So today we're going to focus on seafood, and we're having some salmon, and we're going to have some asparagus and some quinoa, and all those have really good nutrients, especially salmon. It's a great protein. It's surrounded with omega-3s, and then we have asparagus, which is really great for the gut health. That's going to help you guys lose those extra pounds that you don't want. Maybe it's time to get summer body ready. And then we also have quinoa, is a great starch to add to your meal instead of piling on rice, which keeps you constantly bloated. But we're getting ready to get started, folks. I'm glad you joined us. Let's tune in and let's get this meal going. Hello, how are you? We're about to make a really healthy meal. Delicious, quick, and healthy. That's what we're about, the healthy lifestyle. So what we're gonna do first is we're actually prepping for the quinoa. This is a lot healthier than rice. Rice is very starchy, really not good for the body. Quinoa actually has a lot of benefits, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later after we make the quinoa. But right now we're just prepping. So we're going to start by rinsing your quinoa. Always rinse your quinoa. This is a really fine quinoa, so it's the first time using a fine one. But you can use tri-colored one, is one of my favorites. It's like 3 different colors. But this one worked too. I mean, quinoa in general, 100% grain. You always want to look for that, 100% whole grain. So you want to look for a healthy quinoa, but quinoa is a lot healthier than rice. Rice is very starchy, very sticky, causes bloating, causes constipation. This is so much healthier for you. So we're going to get started with measuring out. We have to rinse your quinoa, and then you use 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water. So for those of you that are used to making rice, you're always going to use 1 cup of rice, whether it's wild rice, long grain rice, or white rice, and 2 cups of water. So pretty similar, but actually better for you, healthier. That's the key thing here, health.
Health.
All right?
Yes.
So we're going to start with that, and we're going to rinse this out right now, and we're going to, it's very, very fine. Let me let you look at that. See that there? Very, very fine, which is easier to digest. If you ever look at rice, you see how thick it is. And that's why it carries a lot of starch. That's why I always say after you cook it, rinse your rice as well, not just before. So we're gonna rinse some of this quinoa. Oh, we're gonna rinse some of this quinoa off slowly. We wanna make sure that, nowadays you got to be careful with everything that you eat. Make sure that you rinse everything that you have, especially vegetables. I know they always say they're pre-rinsed, but that's I'm a little bit skeptical on that. Let me just sit this right here. Let me grab this real quick because I want to make sure I get exactly 1 cup. It looks like it's 1 cup, but we'll find out. Okay, almost 1 cup. So we're going to rinse a little bit more. A lot of times you don't really have to rinse your quinoa, But with this fine one here, it actually suggests that you rinse it, and that's fine. You don't want to get any rocks. Nobody wants to be chewing on some quinoa and then all of a sudden you bite down on a rock and you got to go to the dentist later. And you want to enjoy it too. You don't want it all rocky. So we're going to do that. We're going to get a little spoon here. And I'm going to put the rest of it in there. And what it does, when it actually is boiled and hits the water, it's going to expand. So it's not going to be microscopic like you see it right now. It's actually going to expand just like water, or just like rice expands when you cook it. So you're going to add this, a little bit of oil. You basically want to pour in a little bit of oil. Olive oil is the healthiest oil for you. So you want to add just a little bit of oil to oil your pan. Just a little drop will do it. You don't have to really measure it out. You can kind of eyeball it. You want to swirl it around a little bit just so you can get your pan so that it doesn't stick, your quinoa doesn't stick to it. And then you want to add your quinoa. Make sure you get it all out. Add your water. Pour it around. And you want to bring it to a boil. Bring it to a boil. Make sure that you read your directions on the back of your quinoa though, because every quinoa has different directions. This is a fine grade. So this might be different than your regular quinoa. So basically it just says bring to a boil, reduce. It's just like when you're cooking right. Reduce the heat, let it simmer, and then the liquid will absorb within probably about 15 minutes. Okay, now we're going to prepare the vegetable. You always want to pair a protein with a vegetable, with a healthy vegetable, not just any vegetable, because not all vegetables are healthy, and I'll explain that to you later. But right now we're going to prep these asparagus, and we're going to do it really easy. So we're going to add a little bit, we're going to wash our asparagus, trim the ends, because the ends are very chewy, so you don't want to keep the entire asparagus. You always want to cut off a little bit of the tip end. I'd say about 1 inch to 1/2 inch of the tip end of the spears. And you want to take a little bit of healthy olive oil, extra virgin olive oil if you have it, and you just want to drizzle it over just a little bit. Lay it on some, you can lay it on parchment paper, you can lay it on aluminum foil, either one. You don't want to put too much because you don't want it all soggy, but you also don't want dry vegetables. So you just kind of want to give them a little bit of a bath in this olive oil here. And then you want to add a little bit of garlic powder, not garlic salt. Always use garlic powder to cut down on the sodium. It's better for your blood pressure and a lot of other reasons, but it's also better for not retaining a lot of salt in your system. You retain a lot of water if you use salt. So we're going to use garlic powder. So you can put as much as you want on there, because remember, there's no sodium in it. So you're not going to feel bloated, you're not going to increase hypertension. So you just want to add a little bit of garlic powder on there. I'm pretty generous with it just because I like my vegetables to be seasoned. You don't want bland vegetables. You also want to add a little bit of black pepper to it. Again, you just want to use a little bit of that because it is kind of strong, but you're also avoiding the sodium. And then you also can use onion powder. Always remember to read it, not onion salt, onion powder. This again gives you the taste of onions. You can also slice some onions and add it to the top too. I'm a big fan of the yellow onion, so you can actually do that too. But you want to make sure that it's seasoned well. I'm just a fan of the seasoning, and it tastes so much better, and you want to enjoy your food. So now we have that ready. We're actually going to wait and start to prepare the salmon. So we're going to add a little bit. We're done cutting it. We actually sliced it into 3. You can use skin. For this one, we're going to use the skin on the salmon. You can use skinless salmon. Make sure it's boneless, though, because nobody wants to fight through the bones. Or you can use boneless salmon and skinless salmon, or skin salmon as well. Today recipe, we're going to cook it with the skin, but we're going to cook it with the skin side down. So we can, and actually with the skin on there, you're going to retain more of the juice, so it's going to be extra delicious. So what we're going to do is we're going to add, and follow the recipe in there. You're going to add a little bit of olive oil to it, but you're just kind of want to massage the olive oil into the salmon and make sure that it gets all down in there. Nothing like the goodness all up in there. Don't be afraid of it. Make sure your hands are clean afterwards though. You want to wash your hands in between. You're messing with, you're actually cooking with fish, and you want to make sure that you keep your hands so you don't do cross-contamination clean. So we're also going to add, again, we're going to add onion powder, a little bit of onion powder here. It's going to tell you how much in the recipe. But we're going to add a little bit of that, and we're going to sprinkle it on. And we're actually going to massage all this in when we're done, but you definitely want to make sure that you coat it. I just put it in little, instead of using it out of, you can shake it on, but I'm basically just wanted to show you guys in little containers. And then we're going to use garlic powder. We're going to put some garlic in there. Garlic's good for the heart as well. So you want to add some garlic on there. Don't be afraid to add seasonings. Remember, these all don't contain sodium, so you can add a generous amount. And then we're also going to add some dill on there too. Dill goes great with salmon. Salmon is really good, high in omega-3s. So we're going to use that. You definitely, this is good for your blood pressure too as well, for lowering it, which for those of you that are or want to not get high blood pressure, then you're going to use that. And we're going to put a little bit of lemon zest on there. Now I prefer to do it like this, or you can actually squeeze a lemon on at the end too, because lemon always enhances fish. It doesn't matter what kind of seafood you're using. If you notice when you go to a restaurant, they're going to give you a piece of lemon on the side, and that basically enhances and brings it out. So you just want to pat it in there and make sure that your seasonings are going to stay on there, and give them a little bit of a massage. You got to treat your food with love. You got to, love and kindness always makes your food delicious. So see how that is right there? See, they're not falling off. Your seasonings are staying. You're going to put it skin side down onto some parchment paper. Make sure you cover your cookie sheet with parchment paper. That way the bottom does not burn. We're going to get all that goodness right there. We're going to lay it out like that. Once again, I'm going to wash my hands to make sure that I don't get cross-contamination. Plus, you just want to keep your hands clean while you're cooking as well, just because you're preparing this not just for yourself, but probably for your family as well. So we just want to move this plate and put that in there. And all right, that was basically a timer because we're actually making some quinoa over here. And let me just show you that. Ooh, it looks really good. It actually looks really good. Let me show you guys what this looks like. We're making some fresh, tasty quinoa. It's not quite ready yet. It's got a little bit more water to boil off of it. So we're gonna put it back in there for a little bit longer. But we're gonna have some salmon, baked salmon, some healthy asparagus, and some quinoa. And quinoa is really good. It's high in fiber and low saturated fat. And it also is naturally gluten-free. So that's a good thing too. So you always want to add, you really want to use quinoa instead of rice as much as you possibly can, only for the fact that it doesn't retain as much starch, actually if any starch, than you would when you're using rice. And also asparagus support gut health. And that's one thing that you definitely want to make sure that you focus on, is keeping your gut healthy. The reason that people gain weight and then you see them walk around and they're heavy, that's old food. That's actually old food that is stored in their system and they haven't broken it down yet. So you basically, this asparagus is going to help you to move your dinner through. So whatever you've eaten, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, whatever you've eaten that day, if you concentrate and you add asparagus to your diet, they're going to move that food through your body. That way you won't walk around bloated with old food, because there's nothing like old food. It's actually dangerous to have old food. It turns into toxic inside your body. So it's good for gut health, high in fiber. It's a cell protector, high in antioxidants. Add these to your daily, once a week. You know, you can do other vegetables too, and we'll talk about that in some other recipes. But right now we're focusing on asparagus. They will help you move your quinoa and your salmon and your breakfast. And if you did, you know, kind of splurge on a little snack of a donut, it'll help you move that through so that way you can keep your gut health clean. So that's a really good thing for that too. And then the salmon here is, look at how beautiful that is. It's rich in omega-3s. It's good for the brain function, repairs your tissues, and it's rich source of vitamin D. So it's good to add It's always good to add fish into your diet more than you would beef, because beef is hard to move through our colon, through our system. And once again, that's going to be part of why you feel bloated or you're walking around with an extra 20 pounds of rotted food, because that's all it is. Our food turns into fat, and fat is just old rotted food. So what we want to do is we want to focus on our vegetables. We want to focus on our healthy fish, our healthy proteins. Chicken's another healthy protein that you need. And things like, if you want to add a starch to your meal, quinoa is really good. It actually comes in different flavors as well. It's a tricolor one, is one of my favorites to use. But we're going to focus tonight's recipe is going to be the salmon, asparagus, and the quinoa. So basically what we're going to do is we have this all ready to go. Isn't that pretty? I just love the way that looks right now. We're going to set the oven for a 375 temperature, and we're going to add it to our oven. And we're going to add our asparagus in here. We're going to actually bake them. They're not going to take as long as our salmon, so you have to pretty much watch your asparagus because they cook faster than the salmon does. And your salmon's probably going to take about 15 to 18 minutes, not really sure. I'm actually going to put on the top so it'll be a little bit slower cooking. Whatever's in your recipe, make sure you guys follow that recipe, but you definitely want to do that. And remember to set a timer. I always use my phone timer. And the reason I use my phone timer is because I focus more on carrying my phone around the room. So what if I go into use the restroom, or I go into another part of my home and I'm doing some other activity? I want to make sure that I carry my phone with me. That way when the timer goes off, I want to be able to hear it, because I have set my oven timer and not heard it, and then my food, it wasn't really a good outcome. So you definitely want to use, I suggest that you guys use your phone for your kitchen timer. So now all we do is sit and wait for it to get ready, and we'll be back with the results. Hi, and welcome back, Building Bridges, Sickle Cell Foundation. I'm basically going to show you guys that the quinoa is ready. So before I was announcing what I was going to do, and I actually cooked the quinoa ahead of time. And the only reason I did that is because usually it takes longer, and you don't want to have your salmon ready and your asparagus ready, and then your quinoa is not ready. So if you keep that in the oven and try to keep it warm, it's just going to dry the food out. So I would suggest to actually prep your quinoa ahead of time, because it takes a little bit longer. You basically have to, and you can use any kind of quinoa that you like. I'm more of a fan of the tricolor one, like I said, and it's a larger bowl, so I really like that. But we're going to try the fine today, the fine quinoa. And what you do is you add 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water. So it's almost like the same for those of you that make rice and you don't use a rice cooker. That's a little bit of cheating, but that's okay. You're going to bake 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water. Pour it in. You're gonna rinse your quinoa, pour it in, make sure you pour your water over the top, cover it, and let it bring it to a boil, and then you're gonna simmer it until your quinoa turns out like this. Nice and fluffy. Now a lot of people rinse their quinoa afterwards. I prefer not to. I like a little bit of the starchy look to it, but it's up to you. It's kind of like rice. You know, when I was raised, my mother, she actually would make us rinse the rice so we can wrench some of the starch off. But you don't really have a lot of starch in quinoa, so you definitely want to, I like to keep it just as is. And then you just want to keep the top on to keep the moisture in, and wait for your salmon, your asparagus, or whatever protein you're cooking, whether it's chicken. You can pair quinoa with so many different things. You can pair it with any kind of protein out there. I mean, healthy proteins are really the white meat. Always try to stay more towards the white meat. Not saying you have to eliminate red meat in general to your entire healthy lifestyle, but it's better for our body to process the white meat versus the red meat. It's harder for our intestines to push that through. So we want to basically keep that sexy figure and try and eat more of the white proteins and the light proteins and your seafoods. Your seafoods are really good for our body in so many ways. But anyway, what I want to do too, though, right now you can actually, if you'd like to, you can add a little bit of seasonings to it. So you add a little bit of pepper in there. I like to be generous with my seasonings. If you're going to add salt, the best salt for you to use actually for as far as being healthy is called Celtic salt. Now it's spelled like Celtic salt, but it's actually pronounced Celtic salt. But it's the best salt for you to use, which is actually better. I wouldn't suggest table salt. And if you can't find Celtic salt, I would use a pink Himalayan salt. That's actually better for you. but don't use too much sodium because sodium is really not good for our body. But our bodies already produce sodium naturally. So what I'm adding to this right now is garlic powder, not garlic salt. And I'm adding a little bit of black pepper, ground black pepper. And also I'm adding a little bit of onion powder and not onion salt. Make sure that you check to see. Now you can add that to it as you're going to put it on your plate, or you can actually add that to it while it's in the pan. I kind of like to add it while it's in the pan because just so that the flavors can marinate in there. They're like a little jacuzzi and they're just marinating away. So basically we're gonna wait for this, set the quinoa aside. It's already simmering, got the little flavors in there and seasonings marinating, and we're waiting in the oven for now the salmon and the asparagus to get through. Thanks again for joining me, and we're almost ready to present the meal. Welcome back, Building Bridges family. We're gonna now take out the asparagus. I think they're ready and it's time to check them. So let's check. You can check with me. Come on in. They smell good, that's for sure. Let's see if they're ready. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? We'll put them right there because we're gonna save a spot for the salmon. Look how beautiful those turned out, all bubbling. And you don't need butter. These are just made with olive oil. All that I used here is olive oil, some garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of pepper, and lots of love. You always want to use a lot of love when you're cooking. Always want to cook with love. When you cook with love, you eat with love, your body loves it, and everybody's happy. I'll see you guys when the salmon is ready. How beautiful. We're going to take a sneak peek at that. We'll see you when the salmon is ready. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Building Bridges Sickle Cell Disease Foundation. We are into the final lap of making a beautiful, healthy meal. We're gonna pull the salmon now, the star of the show, folks. Come on in. Come on in. Let's check it out and see if it's ready. Oh my gosh, it looks delicious. Look at that. Look at that. Ooh, my goodness. I am so hungry. If you guys could smell this through the phone, it smells delicious. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're actually, excuse me for stepping up in that, I got so excited I stepped right in front of the camera. What we're gonna do now is we're going to plate it. So we have our salmon ready. Oh, before we do that, I actually wanna show you guys that you wanna make sure that it's flaky. And the reason that you want your salmon to be flaky is you know that it's done, but you don't want it to be dry. So you want it to be flaky, but not dry. So you wanna test if it's going to be flaky. That way you know that your salmon is ready. So what we're gonna do now is we are going to plate it. So we have our salmon, our asparagus, and we have our delicious quinoa. So we have our starch, our veggie, and our protein. We're going to plate our protein first. I think we should do this big piece. What do you think? I think this big piece is beautiful. We'll put that right there like that, okay? I'm gonna start with that. We wanna add a little bit of the veggie to it. So we're gonna put a little bit of asparagus on the side here. We almost lost one. We want to save that poor little guy. He was trying to join the meal, sneaking in there. And then we want to add a little bit of this quinoa to the meal as well. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of quinoa, just a little bit. You don't really need a lot. You just need a little bit of a starch. You always want to make sure that your protein and your vegetables make up the larger portion of your plate. We can add a little bit more asparagus actually in there just because your veggies should equal, if not surpass, the size of your protein. Now, if you're making this for your family, you basically want to serve this individually, or you can actually bring it out on a platter. So, but always remember that you want your protein and your vegetable to be the largest portion on your plate and not just your starch, because remember, your starch makes your belly swollen, and swollen is not summer body sexy, and we always want to stay that way, folks. So what you want to do in the end, what I like to do honestly is I like to add a little bit of lemon zest to my salmon, and guess what, you can actually put a little bit of that on top of your asparagus as well. Always want to be creative, don't be afraid. And then you want to add a little bit of paprika, ground paprika, to both items right there. You can even add a little bit to your plate, why not? You want to make it fancy pants over here and impress the family. And you actually can add a little bit of fresh lemon zest because it always enhances your seafood. Now, if you're doing shrimp and you add lemon or lime to it, it actually cooks it. So whenever you see people making ceviche, you'll see them squeezing a lot of lemon and lime in there. Make sure you be careful though, folks. I see a little seed trying to get in there, so make sure you watch for the seeds. You don't want your family biting down on a seed and ruining the meal. I also like to squeeze a little bit of this lemon zest on my quinoa as well. You can add, if you like, and make some healthy sauces. So you can add a little bit of a cream sauce. Make that out of coconut milk. You can actually use coconut milk, or you can actually use oat milk. You can add different kind of sauces. Always make sure though you don't use a lot of these sauces that are pre-made, because those actually contain a lot of sodium. And we want to keep the sodium down to a minimal as much as we can. Remember, we're healthy cooking. So this, folks, is what we call a delicious, easy, healthy meal. You have, once again, your salmon, roasted, put it right in the oven. Super easy to make. You just basically massage a little bit of olive oil in there. You want to put your seasonings on there, and then you want to put it on some parchment paper and bake it. You also want to take some olive oil, put it on top of some fresh asparagus, marinate them a little bit in that olive oil, cover them with some salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, throw them in the oven. Quinoa, super simple. 1 cup of quinoa versus 2 cups of water. Bring it to a boil. Once it's boiled, you want to flake it up a little bit. You can also add, if you like, some chicken stock instead of using water, which will make it a lot more tasty. Or for those of you that are vegetarian, you can actually add some vegetable stock as well. I would use the stock more than I would use the water, just because you want to add a little bit more flavoring. And then you can also flavor your stock while it's in there. You can add an onion to it. That always brings a lot of good flavor to it as well. But now you have a complete meal, a final meal, a healthy meal that you can serve to your family, that they're going to think that so there was something special going on, and you can actually say you're special because we really want you to live forever, and this will help you live a healthier lifestyle. Thank you so much, folks. We really appreciate you tuning in, and thank you again, Building Bridges, Sickle Cell Disease Foundation, for having me. My name is Kisa. Bring this to your exciting homes, and I hope to see you guys. Always remember to invest in your health. Why? Because you're worth it.